Hello, hello, and welcome to this week's episode of ACC TV, where we are talking about how to create scroll-stopping headlines for your email. Now, you may be wondering, why do you want to spend so much time on headlines? Well, the headlines are the most critical piece of your email marketing. Why? Because if no one opens your email, you're not going to be able to move them through your sales funnel and generate sales. So getting those emails open requires you to have really great headlines that stop the scroll, catch people's attention, and create curiosity so that they click on them, open them, read them, and continue to move through the funnel that you are creating and setting up for them so you can generate more sales. If you're new to the channel, I am Elisa Connor. I own Elisa Connor Consulting, and every week I show up here to share small business marketing tips that you can absorb, implement, and start seeing results right away so that you're generating more sales and spending less time and frustration with your marketing. In every episode, I also include a bonus, so be sure to stick with me till the end so you can catch that bonus, because there is one for this episode. And if you want to be sure that you're getting notified of every time I release a new video, hit the subscribe button and you'll get a notification every time a video goes live, which is typically every week. So let's dive in. How do we create those scroll-stopping headlines? Now, if you pulled out your phone right now and you looked at your inbox for email, you may have one or two or maybe three emails that grab your attention, if that. Most of the time, it's just a bunch of words that are blurred together. And so stopping the scroll, getting people's attention, it may seem a little overwhelming, but it's really not as hard as it may seem. And so the tips I'm going to give you in this video are going to be quick, easy, and you can just jump in and start one today and then maybe do another one tomorrow. And by the end of the week, you'll have them all implemented. So tip number one is to, believe it or not, start at the beginning. You want to start training your email subscribers before they ever even really get involved in your email string to expect emails from you. So how do we do that? Well, when people opt in, they fill out a form. Now, you have the option, regardless of what email service provider you're using, to, instead of sending them a note that says, or a little blurb that says, we've received your form, you can actually send them to a thank you page. And that thank you page is way valuable because that's some great real estate for you to welcome them, to tell them they've made the right decision, and to give them some important information. Like, hey, I'm going to be sending you an email within the next 5 to 10 minutes. It could show up here, here, and here, spam, trash, or the junk folder. But if you're on the lookout for it, you can go in there and make sure that it's there. If you find it in one of those places, make sure you add my email address, here it is, to your contacts so that I am a valid and a safe contact to begin an email from. And then you'll be sure to get all of the good stuff that's coming your way, because I've got some good stuff planned for you. And I want to make sure that it doesn't, you don't miss out on it. You actually get the emails that you have just signed up for, because there's some good stuff coming. And so when you set that up and you have that on your thank you page as a prep for, hey, this is what it's going to be like to get emails from me, and this is what you can expect, and 5-star service only, they're going to be like, oh, this is different from most places that I sign up. I just get this lame, email and that's it. Or a lame message that says, hey, we have your form. Just doing that and kind of doing the pre-work, the pre-game work before they ever get on your list is going to save you a lot of headache. Because if your emails are ending up in spam or trash or the junk folders, they're not seeing them. They never see an email. They never see email one. So they sign up and they're like, where's my stuff? Well, it's in the junk folder, but they didn't know to look there because we didn't tell them. And so you can also repeat this information when you send them that freebie and say, hey, if you happen to find this in the junk or the spam or the trash folder, just be sure to add this email address, give them the email address, to your contacts. And you could even, if you wanted to go the extra mile, create a video and show them how to do that. And so that's tip number one, pre-work, so that your new subscribers and your new audience member knows what to expect from you. And that all happens on the thank you page. So tip number two is we're going to add some cool stuff to our subject line. And that, first of all, is emojis. So if you pull out your phone, like I mentioned before, and you scroll through, chances are you might have one or two or maybe three emails that have an emoji in them. Emojipedia which I will link below this video, has every emoji under the sun that you can use in an email. Now, you can't add GIFs or photos or anything like that to your email subject lines, but you can add emojis. And when you add emojis, whether it's at the beginning or the middle or the end, you are going to grab attention. And I would highly recommend mixing it up and testing and see which ones get more traction, see which ones get more opens. But also, there's a fine line between too many emojis and just enough emojis. So you don't want to cross the line. I usually recommend 1 to 3. You don't need to go crazy. People don't need 900 emojis, but get creative with your emojis. I also recommend to my clients and students that they do not use yellow. And you're going to be like, why don't you use yellow? Those are all the happy sign or the happy faces and stuff. They are, but 1, they're the most used emoji, so people are used to seeing them. And 2, there's a lot of yellow in the inbox already. Most of the time when you look at an inbox, you're going to see yellow emojis. But also, if you use something like Gmail, they have this feature that's called flagging. Well, all of the flags are yellow. So if people are flagging their emails in their inbox, they're going to see all this yellow in there anyway. And your email is going to have a harder time standing out. So choose something that's red or green or purple or blue or something different, or some eyeballs or whatever. But make it different, make it something that you don't see all the time, and you will have a higher chance of standing out in the inbox with your headline. Along with that, you can also add unique characters like question marks or exclamation points or stars, or make an arrow with 2 dashes and a side, I'm trying to think what that is, a side triangle. You could make an arrow, but any of those characters are going to stand out. Now, don't go too crazy with the characters or capitalization of your headline, because those will trigger the spam filter. And you want to do everything in your power to not make it harder for people to see your emails, and triggering that spam filter, especially if you trigger it more than once, will lead to people not getting your emails. And we don't want that. So tip number 2 is to add either emojis or characters to your headline. And that takes us to tip number 3, which is to ask an open-ended question. Now, let me preface this with what you should not do, because by teaching you what not to do, you're going to know what to do. When you ask an open-ended question, the human mind will automatically open a curiosity loop. So if you ask the question and answer the question in the headline, there's no reason to open the email. I see this by huge companies. Like, this is one of the things, like, stop doing that. Because if you ask the question and answer the question in the headline, there's no reason to open the email. You've closed the curiosity loop. Humans are naturally curious. We cannot stand it if there is a question and we don't have the answer. And so if you can ask that poignant of a question that triggers that curiosity in someone's mind, they're going to be like, wait a minute, what? They're going to be thinking about it. Then they'll go actually dig through their email, find the email so that they can get that question answered and their brain can stop thinking about it. And so using really great questions in your headline is an automatic way to start getting more open rates. And if you can ask those questions and make them really relevant to what's going on in your audience's life, as far as whatever your product or service solves, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, I need to know that. So that's tip number 3, is to ask really great questions. So as I said, I have a bonus for you at the end of this episode. I'm going to say this bonus, you may like it or you may hate it, but if you can learn to love it, it's going to really make a difference. So typically when I work with people, either one-on-one or inside of my email marketing program, online course, I recommend that they start brainstorming about 30 headlines per topic area. So typically, if you're creating emails on a regular basis, you want to align your email topics with the different questions and things that show up in your business. So when you start to create a list of 30 headlines, it does 2 things. 1, it starts activating the creativity in your brain. And so the headlines get better and better and better and better. And they also get more dialed in. There are a bunch of other tips and tricks that you can filter into those headlines to make them even better. And those show up in my Email Breakthrough Academy. But just to get started, if you start brainstorming those 30 headlines, you're going to not only get the one headline that you need for your current email, but you can create a spreadsheet for that topic area and save like the other maybe 2 or 3 or 4 additional headlines that you've written that you're like, hey, these are pretty good. And if you put those in that spreadsheet, even if your article isn't specifically aligned with those, you can probably pull and tweak those headlines enough that you can use them in a future email. And so when you get that creativity sparked, which happens when you do a lot of writing, you are going to have better headlines, and they're going to stand out from the sameness that seems to show up in the inbox. And the reason that there is so much like overlap of headlines is because people don't take the time to do this. They're just like, nope, it takes too long. I'm telling you right now, it doesn't take that long. It'll probably take you 15 to 20 minutes max to sit down and just power out 30 headlines, because the more you write, the more creative you get, and the faster you start writing. It's just how your brain works. It's science. So I highly recommend and I want to encourage you to at least try it. Just try it one time. Try it with your email this week. And if you're going to send an email, just sit down with a pad of paper or with an open Word document and just start typing out emails, label or, number it 1 through 30 and just see what happens. And I will bet you will surprise yourself not only with how creative you can be, but how quickly you can power out those headlines. So that is your bonus tip. Thanks so much for tuning in this week. If you've enjoyed this video, I would love for you to hit the like button and maybe even share it with a friend. That would be awesome. And I will be back here next week with additional marketing tips for you and your small business so that you can start generating more sales and spend less time fretting about what to do for marketing and spending your hard-earned marketing dollars on the wrong things. So until then, be well, stay safe, and I'll see you next week. Take care.